Great day to everybody. Great day to you, whether it's morning, noon, or evening. Great day to you. Grand rising to some. So glad to be with you here on today. You know what to do. Tag and share, share and tag. 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 Let people know that we're on today and we want to make sure that we impact the algorithm in a positive way on today. Welcome, 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 welcome to you and to you and to you and to you. I'm so excited, honored, and privileged, as I always am, to be with you on this particular day. Almighty, we just thank you. We thank you for in you we live and we move. And we have our being. We are so grateful to the divine for all that we are, all that we have, all that we are becoming. Thank you today. Lead us and guide us. We just bless you for all of the wonderful provisions in our lives. We pray that you would speak to us out of the recesses and annals of your own heart. And let us receive it. Let it resonate within. Let us transmit it into the world as we have become what we believe. We bless you this day. Yeshua's name, by his name, nature, and consciousness. It is so, and so it is. Tag and share, share and tag, family. Share and tag and share, tag and share, share and tag. I'm so glad to be with you here on today. Again, blessings to you, and you. I am honored to be with you. Last week I could. We had a tornado come through, knocked out all the power. and did some damage in the area that I'm visiting. And so I consider it to be such a privilege and such a blessing to be with you here on today. That's right, Grand Rising to all of you here. Again, tag and share and tag, and even copy this link if you want to and send it in a text thread so that others will know that we are on the air on this particular day. I always like to remind you of what Philippians chapter 4 tells us. And I want you to recognize that no matter what circumstance or situation that you're dealing with, no matter how hard, no matter how trying, no matter how resistant, recalcitrant, stubborn it may seem to be, that I can, you can, therefore I can. I can do all things through the anointed one and his anointing who strengthens me. I want you to type it in the comment section. I can. Come on, type in the comment section. I can. Type it in the comment section for me. I can. That's it. I can. I can. You've got to own that you can. You've got to know that you can. I can overcome. I can persevere. I can push through. I can. I can keep my sanity. I can please the Almighty. I can navigate through dark times. I can manage the light. I can endure hardness as a good soldier. I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I always like to remind you that you're the divine offspring of an almighty being. Therefore, you're not powerless, you're powerful. So I want you to type it in the comment section. I am powerful. I want you to type it, and when you're typing it, I want you to speak it, because there's something about speaking it out loud. There's something about declaring it atmospherically. There's something about speaking it into the world. Come on, speak. I am powerful. Type, I am powerful. Take some deep breaths, like 3 times. Inhale, exhale. Inhale again. Exhale. And one more time. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. One more time. And declare and decree out loud again. I am powerful. That's it. I am powerful. That's it. Declare it. I am powerful. That's right. You are a powerful spiritual species. You are a powerful class of being. You have permission by God to be powerful. Let me know if you can see and hear me well. Let me know if you can see and hear me well quickly. Let me know if you can see and hear me well. I'm making some adjustments here. I believe that you can still hear me, but sometimes this equipment does strange things. Let me know if you can still hear me and see me well. I am powerful. Hold on, let me clear that up right there. You've got to own the power. It's not enough to just acknowledge power. You've got to own it. You've got to own the power. For some reason, it does that. It'll go in and out in terms of blurriness. Can you see me and hear me well? Let me know if you can see me and hear me well. Yes, it is clear. Okay, I straighten out the blurriness. Is that better? I don't know why my camera does that. It's not that old either. And from time to time, it just does something different. Might have to look at the settings on it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your feedback on YouTube and Facebook. Again, I'm honored and privileged to be with you all here on this particular morning. And how are you today? That's a question I have for you. How are you today? How is everybody doing today? Bishop Desmond Green is on. Bless you, sir. How's everybody doing today? Talk back to me. How are you today? Tell me how you're doing, and remember, how you're doing is a subjective response. That's a subjective response. It's based on how you interpret your life. He says both well, awesomeness. Let's see. Chris says, doing good this morning. All right, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Anybody else? Anybody else want to share between Facebook and YouTube how you're doing today? Anybody else? It is your opinion. It is a matter of private interpretation, and I would not dare judge you for that. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing how you're doing. Now, you know, the next question I got to ask you is, what's in your cup? What's in your cup? What's in your cup? There's no judgment here. Whatever you are sipping on while you're watching me is what you're sipping on while you're watching me. But I always like to see what people are sipping on and sometimes eating while they're watching me. I typically, 90% of the time, have coffee. And the other percentage of the time, I might use tea. Today, I'm drinking some protein. It is a protein shake. Matter of fact, I have a line of natural products that I promote. And I'll have to share it with you one day to try and keep this temple, this body, not only fit, but healthy and experiencing longevity at the highest quality order. So I got this chocolate protein shake. I think it's got like 25 grams of protein in it. Remember, protein is important for certain metabolic processes as well as building muscle, lean muscle. So I'm trying to increase my protein intake. For a while there, for years when I was leaner, I consumed a whole lot of protein in the course of the day, of course, while working out as well. So that's what I'm sipping on today. Let's see. Pastor Jerry Cotton say he's got lemon water. That's good stuff too. That's good stuff too. Let's see who else. Krista says she's got coffee with French vanilla creamer. And all right, that's my go-to. It's my go-to as well. Anybody else? What's in your cup? What's in your cup? What you sipping on right now? What you sipping on? What you sipping on? If you dare to share, I will share daringly. So glad to have all of you on today. I'm going to get into the segment in just a few minutes. I want to pause for station identification to say, and I normally don't discuss these kinds of matters on the air. I know I'm just prompted by it. It's a current event. To just encourage you, if you can, wherever you live in this country, to express your right to vote this fall. Make sure that you are registered and make sure that if you can, that you show up at the polls. Contrary to conspiracy theorists, I believe that every vote does count and it does contribute to this alleged democracy that we have. So please make sure if you can that you make your way to the polls. All right. So everybody's doing well today. People are sipping on what they're sipping on. And I'm going to take us to the scriptures in just a few minutes. I was going to finish up, I believe it was the third installment on a series that I had started. I believe it was entitled Good Thoughts. I believe that's what it's entitled. We're going to go to Philippians chapter 4. Philippians chapter 4, we're going to pick up there. Spirit of the living God, lead us and guide us. Your will is done in us, with us, and through us. And as this, we just bless you and praise you in Yeshua's name. By his power and consciousness, it is so. And so it is. We're going to Philippians chapter 4. Philippians chapter 4. I want you to type it in the comment section. This is my moment for miracles. Type in the comment section. This is my moment for miracles. Type it in the comment section. This is my moment for miracles. Type it in the comment section. This is my moment for miracles. That just came up while I was talking. I just sense it. I don't know. I believe it's for everybody. I believe that whoever declares and decrees it has already received it. This is my moment for miracles. It most certainly is. And we should live with not just an anticipation or an expectation, but a knowing that God in this universe is conspiring. He rules everything. His will is interwoven in it. The will of the Almighty is interwoven in it. And these circumstances and situations that I'm experiencing in life that appear to be contrary to that which I desire are temporary, that at any moment, miracles can break out and manifest in my personal life. And I want you to understand that if this text is true, that with men it is impossible, but not with God. For with God, all things are possible. That means that at any moment, your faith can activate your God self in concert with the Almighty God to manifest miracles. I don't want you to ever think that it has to be over because somebody has said it's over, because a doctor has said it's over, because a situation from a professional viewpoint, a professional report, or a professional standpoint has said it's over. Recognize that there's infinite power that you and I have available to us. Philippians 4:8, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. And I think I entitled this Good Thoughts. Good Thoughts. I think this is part 3. And so I'm going to do a bit of a recap on this presentation. I want people who are dealing with challenges in life, a lack of peace, anxiety, sickness, disease, stress, heartache, disappointment, frustration, financial issues, career issues, relationship issues. They all come from the mind. They all come from the mind. And for the most part, they are all generated by us. I want to say something that was on my mind before I came on to speak to you today, that really is on my heart, that was kind of framed in my mind in a way that can be articulated, that should be articulated, and I think that can be precisely articulated. I want you to type it in the comment section. I want you to type it in the comment section. I am responsible for many good things in my life. I want you to type that in the comment section real quickly. I am responsible. Let's just paraphrase. I am responsible for great things in my life. Type that in the comment section. I am responsible for great things in my life. Let me see if I can type it. I am responsible for great things in my life. Type that in the comment section. I'm responsible for great things in my life. I'm going to explain to you in a minute why I wanted you to type that. I am responsible for great things in my life. Type that in the comment section. I'm responsible for great things in my life. Thank all those who typed it. I have you to type things for a reason. It's even better to write things, but I have you to type it for a reason. I need your mind. I need this seed, this deposit, not to just be made by you, but to be by me, but to be made by you and received by you. So the reason I say this is, now you all know that I'm a huge uh, supporter and propagator of grace. And I have said it to some of my friends that, uh, in my humble opinion, it's one of the very few things in the Bible that makes sense to me. It's not that I don't understand the Bible. Y'all know I've got 4 degrees in theological disciplines, including a doctorate. So I understand scripture. And that's not to say that I understand it thoroughly, but I understand it enough to have a grasp on it. But I'm bringing this up because one of the reasons I constantly take the perspective I've taken, and I've kind of explained this to you before, I don't, I'm not trying to be like anyone else in terms of what my assignment is and who I am and what I am. I know what I am, and I know what my approach has to be to impacting people in the most positive way possible. Having said that, there is a psychology that exists in people. There's a mentality. There's a framework of thinking that exists in people where they attribute all of the good things and only the good things that happen in their lives to God. And they attribute all of the bad things that happen in life to themselves or that other fellow noted as the devil. This disturbs me because, and I know that certain things have been taught religiously speaking for generations. When we talk about the flesh and we talk about not trusting the flesh, it should be presented in a way and in a contextual way where there is no harm done to you as the being, but it is merely a message that is being disseminated to encourage you to do what I'm encouraging you to do. And that is, as a spirit being, control your soul, your mind, will, and emotions, and control your body, which is you, but it's the lower you. It has more of the primal baser instincts. And there are things that at times it wants to do from a primal, primitive perspective that's not refined, that has to be controlled. I had you to type that statement because, again, I know that I'm talking to people that really don't credit themselves enough for the great and the good that they do. Neither are they aware that God's not requiring that you say his name every time good happens and that you attribute everything good to his actions. I'm going to let the dust settle on that one right there. And I'm going to take a sip of my protein. I have you to type that I am powerful, and I remind you that you have permission from God to be great. Because most of you all, number one, most people don't think they're great or good. Secondly, when things happen, you are taught to give it all to God, not knowing that God is a part of you. God is one with you. God has designed you to operate and function like him. And so therefore, you don't have to depend on God for everything. That is that codependent mentality that I talked about. And I'm just going to be honest. It has become, in some senses, because of the improper way that it has been presented, it has made people unhealthily dependent or dependent in an unhealthy way on the divine. It is superstitious, and it has created and shaped a mentality in people that has dumbed them down and reduced them to little of nothing. So when I tell you that you're a spirit and you're a powerful spirit, there are some people who don't like that being taught because they want you to think that the most powerful aspects of your being or the only powerful aspects of you is God. And the truth be told, you are made in the image and likeness of your creator so that your creator would not have to do everything for you. Lord have mercy. The heavens, even the heavens of the Lord, and the earth hath he given to the children of men. And we see clues in biblical texts. We see clues in other religious texts telling you about your divinity, your greatness. But yet there is this struggle that's going on between inside of you and I on a daily basis, and some more than others, as to if they're good or bad. And we make good decisions. And we can say, I thank God for the good decisions, but you made the decision. I want you to understand that as a spirit, and as a spirit made in the image and likeness of an almighty, omnipotent being, there are things that your spirit mind knows that the world calls your higher self, or the metaphysical world calls your higher self, knows that your brain, which we might call your conscious mind, doesn't know. Talk back to me, family. I hope I'm getting some likes and hearts because I'm not on Facebook to see if any of that is being generated right now. This is how I'm going to start this presentation off. Because one of the reasons why seeds planted in message form or message planted in seed form like this has a difficult time growing in people is because of the convolution of understanding of who and what they are, and then who and what God is in relation to them. I need you to hear me. So if you keep deflecting your part and never ever demean, or underestimate your part. Listen, if it's bad, you brought it. If it's good, you brought it. And if it's bad and you cooperated with that other fellow or the evil side of the spiritual spectrum, then that's your actions. I want people to just learn to take a hold of the fact that what you many times are attributing to God or the enemy is you. Ooh, boy, this is sobering. Maybe Pastor Cotton, he's on here. Maybe he can put a psychological term in this comment section that I can throw out to people. I want people to understand that your deflection of your thoughts, your deflection of your actions, in many respects, is a forfeiture, or you are forfeiting power. You are forfeiting your native state. You're forfeiting your position. You're forfeiting your authority as a spirit being. You're forfeiting your authority as one who has been granted authority by the Almighty. And in a sense, you are operating as if you are minimal and helpless, but you don't understand that your thoughts are still triggering, creating reality. Your actions are still contributing to reality creation. And you're going with the flow. That's the wrong flow. And you don't realize it because you think it's one or the other that's doing it. Okay, Pastor Cotton is a counselor, certified counselor. He's on YouTube. He put the imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome. That's what he put up. Thank you for that. The imposter syndrome. It is a behavior, basically health phenomenon that causes people who achieve great things to doubt their skills, their intellect, and their accomplishments. And a lot of times people are doing this. Don't get me wrong, there are some elements in your environment. When I say elements, I mean people who can contribute to this syndrome. Don't get that twisted. But religion contributes to this syndrome too. And the messages that it sends people contributes to this syndrome. You're great one day and you're nothing the next day. As soon as you do something that they think you shouldn't do, instead of them serving you and ministering to you and loving you and helping you to correct the action, many times they get up and preach a message about the action. This is confusing to people. This is both conflating and deflating. Part of my assignment is based on the messianic assignment. And Yeshua in Luke 4:18-19, in his discourse, talking about the messianic assignment or his assignment in the earth, talks about not only opening the eyes of the blind, which is not just a literal thing, but a spiritual, figurative thing, but he also talks about setting the captives free. There are a lot of people who love God, but they're bound. They love God, but they're blind. And whether they bound and blind by thinking, flawed thoughts, flawed theology, it's hindering them. It's hindering them. And on a day-to-day basis, we are talking to people and dealing with people who are still struggling with if they are a good person or not, based on performance, based on how many things they did that were perceived to be good in that week versus how many things they're perceived to be bad. And what people tend to do is to find themselves more by the bad than the good. Am I making any sense to anybody? Talk back to me. Y'all quiet. I must be on your street. I must be on your avenue because I'm not on Facebook. Maybe I need to go on there. Maybe I'm getting some likes and hearts and I just can't see it. This is important because you will not be able to evolve, transform, and ascend. And you will not be able to hold and contain powerful messages. And you will not be able to resonate and vibrate with power and as power until you recognize that I am powerful. I am not condemned. I am love. And I have the permission from God to be great. And I am not defined, or I will not allow myself to define by errors. Am I making any sense? Talk back to me. Am I making any sense? Am I making any sense? Is this making any sense to anybody? Y'all talk back to me. So I want to encourage you today. I'm talking about good thoughts because I understand that it is bad thoughts that is controlling the experience for most people. It is negative thoughts that's controlling the experience for many people. It is flawed thoughts that's controlling the experience for many people. Do not get it twisted. Do not fool yourself. As I'm listening to you, as you're listening to me right now, I guess in a sense I am listening to you too. But as you're listening to me right now, you're processing what I'm saying based on core beliefs, and your core beliefs, of course, consist of thoughts and images that shape and form and help define for you what you believe and help define for you who you think you are. I want you to hear me. And so this is how we move about in the world. This is how we move about in the world. And this is why sometimes we show up at events and the heart is already closed, shut down. Because we're just not going to let that light in, and we're just not going to let that truth in. We're just not going to let that word in. We just decided that this is what I'm going to think and believe, and I don't want it to be challenged. But what I want you to understand is that when you and I barricade ourselves behind these closed doors, watch this, and behind these closed doors is an accumulation of false teaching or improper teaching or teaching with minimal light or teaching that is not expanded, that is not balanced, then that's the life you're manifesting and the lifestyle you're manifesting and the actions you're manifesting. And you just put that out into the world and you get more of that back. Again, you're either going to blame it on God or you're going to blame it on the devil, but it's really you. Oh, God, I just feel something. I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to educate you as to who and what you really are and who and what you've been created and designed to be. I want you to hear me. And it is not some weak, impotent, powerless, mistake-prone being, and you are not to define yourself by those things. I was listening to a two-part series with some great people on it, and one of them was talking about integrity and how you have to have personal standards and values. And these are people who don't espouse to be Christian, but they're talking about integrity. They understand manifestation, all these things, but they're also talking about integrity. So let me help you to understand. Even that is defined by what you were raised to believe or what you were adapted to believe was integrous. All of this stuff is shaped by what you think. All of this stuff is shaped by what you believe. Again, even back to, here we go, your conception of God, your conception of self, your conception of how God relates to you, your conception of how you relate to God, and ultimately your conception of how you relate to the world and other beings, again, is in your heart. And I'm on record to say there's a collection of stuff that's in our hearts and in our minds that's flawed. It's flawed and it needs to be changed. So I shared with you, we have up to 50,000 thoughts a day. I was looking at an article the other day that registered more, but no matter how many it is, if most of those thoughts are replete with damning, dooming, self-questioning, insecure, doubtful, morbid, pessimistic thoughts, then that's what you're going to manifest in the world. That's what you're going to put out in the world. And again, let me break this down for you. Let me break this down for you. If you think that the whole world is against you, if that's your thinking, you've become that. Once you persist in that thinking, you create a state of consciousness. Once you create that state of consciousness, it manifests reality. It partners with God. It partners with that other fellow to manifest a world for you. So don't think it's strange if you're thinking everybody is against you. And it appears that everybody's against you. You're on your job and it seems like folks are running you down. You go in the supermarket and when you look up, when you see people whispering, looking at you, you think they're talking about you. They might be. Maybe you manifested that. You get in your car and somebody scrapes your car. And then they get out with an attitude when it was their fault. You're engaged in relationships with people that are just downright rank and untrustworthy. Some of you all are guided by parents that are just rank and downright untrustworthy. Maybe you got something to do with that. And what people would do is, that ain't nothing but the devil. It's the devil. He everywhere. He and this, that, and the other. Maybe you put him there. Maybe you thought him into existence in that situation. Maybe you opened the door. Maybe it is you who manifested that crack or created that crack. This is how powerful you are. And if you keep resisting this power, then you will keep projecting into the world based on confusion. Like right now in this cup, family, is a wonderful protein shake that I'll share with you one day. Now, Yeshua had a similar situation where it was water that was turned into wine. Now, don't get me wrong, it is possible to change the chemical composition of whatever is in the cup, just like it's possible to change the chemical composition of whatever is in a bowl. But for our discussion's sake, there's just protein shake in this container here. So if I pour this container out into another container, or tip this container over, into and prepare another container, what is going to be poured into the next container? Talk back to me. If there's a protein shake in here and I have another cup and I'm pouring it into the cup, what comes out of the container into the next cup? Y'all help me. The protein shake or whatever is in the cup. This is how you and I walk around in life. Now, just imagine this liquid represents thoughts. Imagine that this liquid represents images and actions. Imagine this liquid represents our state of consciousness, everything that we believe. So watch this. When you go into the work, when you go into your job and pour out your performance, you're pouring it out from that cup. When you engage in the conversation with people, you're pouring from that cup. When you're moving about through this physical space, you're pouring from that cup. You're pouring from what's in you. Every day, you are pouring from what's in you. So I'm asking you the question, unless we intentionally change the contents of this shake, how can it change itself? So it's only going to be itself. And I'm saying to you, you are yourself as you move about in the world. And as you move about in the world, you will only pour out in terms of thinking, speaking, and actions, in terms of being, based on what is in you. Am I making any sense to anybody? I'm trying to get to where I want to go, but I got to follow the leading. I got to follow the leading. I've been led down this particular pathway today, so I want to follow this. The late Marcus Aurelius, who was not just an emperor but a philosopher, he is the one that is mentioned in the movie Gladiator. He's the one that starts out as Russell Crowe's mentor. Gladiator, he says, very little is needed to make a happy life. It actually says it is all within yourself, within your way of thinking. Let me change that because I mistyped that. I hate it when I make mistakes. It is, he says it is. Let me correct that. There we go. Then I'm going to put it back up there again. So here we go. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, within your way of thinking, end quote. So as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. We already know that from the text in Proverbs. And then we got philosophers coming behind that and are consistently saying the same thing. So I'm saying to you today, as we're talking for Philippians 4:8, and Paul is suggesting ways we should think, I again want you to understand the reality creation doesn't come from heaven. Reality creation doesn't come from what they call hell. Reality creation doesn't come from other people. Reality creation comes from within, you in partnership with God, you in partnership with whatever you believe. Hear me. So if you're going to have peace, even the peace of God has to be received. And the peace of God is going to be received where? In your heart and in your mind, which means it's going to be received where you think. It's going to be received where your images or your visualizations are created. So that peace of God we talk about that passes all understanding. When I'm praying for people to have peace, I know I have the ability to deposit the peace, but I'm depositing it in their spirit mind first. It's got to be received there. And it will make its way into your thinking to start controlling the way you think to calm you and I. So the power of good thoughts or the power of thoughts should never ever be underestimated in your experience. Ooh, I felt something there. So I got to ask you the question like I ask you right now. And let's do a poll here. Let's do a poll here. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being 1 being the worst and 10 being, great. And be honest. These folk just don't. This is not the program where we just put on masks. No, we real here. Just pull back the raw on it. Be honest. On a scale of 1 to 10, what was your thinking? How would you rate your thinking last week, leading up to the day? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your thinking? Or maybe I should say lately. How would you rate your thinking lately on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being the lowest, 10 being the best. Let me see your scores real quick. How would you rate your thinking lately? I want to know what your thinking has been like lately. What has your thinking been like lately? Talk to me. I'm waiting for, for those comments to come up in the comment section. All right, we got the first one. Somebody said a 6. All right, awesomeness. Who else? Who else? Somebody said a 6. Who else wants to be honest and share their thinking, where they've been in terms of their thinking? Trying to get this right. We got a 7. We got a 5. Thank you for your honesty. I love it when folk are honest. I love it when people can be honest. Thank you so much for your honesty. All right. We got an 8 to an 8.5. All right. Very good. Very good. Let me take this off the screen right here so you can see me. So the reason why when I started teaching this, I started with the thinking part. He said, think on these things, is because everything that's mentioned on this chart is a thought that we are supposed to be thinking. So he's ultimately listing these things because we're supposed to think them. And again, I want to thank you for your honest evaluation on your thinking. That's where you are. That's where you are. There's no judgment here. So you see the spectrum, where the spectrum is, even in our program today, in terms of the level of where people thinking. And even that's a subjective evaluation. It could be lower or it could be higher. But I thank you for that. So your scores are representative of what's in the world, and your scores are representative of what's in people who attend our congregations, and your score is a representation of people in your family and your life, so forth and so on. It's from low to high. And most of the time, people live in this state, this lower state, sometimes for weeks, months, and years. And it is difficult to see anything else shift and change in your life when you are existing in a lower state of thinking for years and years and years and years and years. Am I making any sense to anybody? Am I making any sense to anybody? Let me help you with something. A good message can lift you from like a 3 to a 10, but you won't stay at a 10 without good thinking, without thinking to sustain it. I've got a cousin who's in business, former professional athlete, but he's a leadership kind of guru and motivational speaker and all that. And sometimes when we're having discussions about things, the words sustainable long-term models come up, or words like it's not sustainable for a length of time or for a long period of time, or words like it's not a sustainable model. That comes up. You know why? Because, oh God, I feel this. I feel this, Pastor Jerry. A lot of our thinking is not sustainable for abundance, success, happiness, and prosperity. Wow, I just said a word. I just said a word. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it a different way. Our psychological constructs are not built many times to be sustainable, long-term abundance, happiness, success, successful thinking. So if your psychological framework is not built to produce high-level thoughts, if it's built, watch this, to favor the negative, to be bent or slanted toward the negative, or to be bent or slanted toward the pessimistic. Again, I have to break this down for you because I want you to understand that you can shout, speak in tongues, and shout out now and get hands laid on you and get prophecy. Your psychology and even your spirit self is not going to hold any of that stuff if your psychological framework can't hold it and sustain it. And many times it's not sustainable because if you're giving a level 10 word, listen to me, family. If I'm giving a level 10 word to a person who thinks in level 3, on level 3, and has been thinking on level 3 for 20 years, do you honestly think the level 10 word is going to take effect in them then? I had to pause for that one. Seriously, family. This is why a cultivation of thoughts, a cultivation of your thought world is relevant and important. This is why I wish more approaches would be taken like this in ministry, because yes, you're teaching to people on various different levels when you encounter them in life. This is true, but you never should underestimate how many 3s, 4s, and 5s and 6s you have that you're talking to all the time. And you're talking level 10 people to level 10 people, or you're giving them level 10 prophecy, level 10 word, but they're on a lower level. And then people get frustrated. People wonder what happened to the 4, they dropped out. What happened to the 5, they dropped out. What happened to the 6, I don't see them no more. What happened to the 7, they dropped out. They dropped out because you didn't teach them. You didn't teach them how to become whole enough to be able to accept the level 10 prophecy and walk in the level 10 prophecy. Now, we often say that prophecy is a word. Now, don't get me wrong. There's an ability, hear me, family. Hear me, family. There's a power that's available to all of us. And I've seen it in my own life. Well, I can speak a prophecy to you. And no matter what you do, if there's enough power in me and enough power in the word, it'll shift you instantly without you even thinking about it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the words that come to us that we have to put in the inner work to align with, to come in alignment with. And many times people don't do the inner work to come in alignment with the level 10 prophecy. So it's not that you had to have seen it before it came. And this is another thing that people have said in the church that's wrong. All prophecy is not confirmation. When you read the biblical text, there's a lot of stuff that's said in there those people had never heard before. Yes, at some point in time, there is going to be a witness in you, but that don't mean you've heard it with your audible ears before as it relates to you. I have prophesied to a lot of folks who said, nobody's ever told me that before. And it happened just the way I said it. So what I want you to understand is that we still have to put in the work to come into alignment, and putting in that work to come into alignment with that prophetic word, sometimes meaning some stuff in us has to die. Some things in us have to be addressed. The way we see ourselves has to be elevated. And again, I love to use Gideon as an example because this, the Spirit of God, or God didn't just roll up on Gideon and say, get out there and fight, get out there and be a champion, get out there and just be a winner, get out there and lead Israel to battle over all your enemies. No, he had to convince him, number one, that he was God, number two, that he himself was great. And then he put him to use. Then he put him out there and said, go. Am I making any sense to anybody? Same way with Joshua. Joshua was brimming with confidence, having been mentored by Moses, but God still had to do the work to let him know, not only am I with you, but you yourself are great. This is who you are. This is how I see you. Then Joshua has to own that before Joshua can walk that out. And I'm saying to you, the challenge is, this is nowhere in my notes. You say I ain't even using those. The challenge is that people can't own what's been spoken because they're not there yet psychologically. They're not there yet mentally. And they don't understand that just because they're not there doesn't mean it's not real, because it is real. But what they have to do is somehow, some way, go through the metamorphosis process within to shed some old, to receive some new, and eventually evolve to the state where they're now in alignment with that level 10 word, or that level 20 word, or that level 30 word. And it begins where you think. It begins where you think. I'm going to say it again. It begins where you think. I don't care what nobody says. If you think and believe, hear me, this is how powerful reality is. If you think and believe fat meat is not greasy, nobody can convince you fat meat is greasy, no matter how much grease they show you is on the fat, because that is your belief. And you'll be saying, I don't know what folk is talking about. This is not greasy. This is not greasy to me. What's the issue? Well, because you don't believe it's greasy. So in your world, it's not greasy. So when people are convinced that they're victims, and they decide they're going to hold on to victimhood, when people are convinced that they are less than, and they decide they're going to hold on to feeling and being less, when people decide that they are inferior because this, that, or other happened to them, when people decide that they are rejected and they're just going to live a life of perpetual rejection, and people will always reject them, hear me real clearly. This is why when a word is like this is sent out, they're on a lower level. The metaphysical world would say vibrating at a lower level, and they can't receive that word. So this is why people like me have been raised up to say it's still real, it still exists. But let's make some inner adjustments to get you into alignment with that. And I can't get you into alignment with that higher level word if I keep preaching low level messages to you. And if I keep preaching messages that's stepping on you, killing you, trying to destroy you, trying to exploit you. Ooh, I wish I had more likes and hearts. I wish I had more people who understood the words that were coming out of my mouth. Am I making any sense to anybody? Am I making any sense to anybody? Am I making any sense to anybody? I'm going to go to my notes in a minute. Thank you for the likes and hearts. Thank you for the likes and hearts. I simply want you to understand, and I simply want you to recognize that good thoughts are imperative. If you don't have what we call good thoughts, healthy thoughts about your concept of the Almighty and about your concept of yourself, then everything else comes in and is sent through this filter and becomes contaminated and polluted. It's just the bottom line. And what I'm saying to you, family, is that there are some things we think about ourselves that's been contaminated. There's some things, there's some ways we see ourselves that's been influenced. And it's not this in a negative way. And it's not that people meant to do it, but they place these limitations on who you are, what you can do, what you can accomplish, not knowing that they were doing it when they did it, but it was something that was handed down to them or something that was passed to them as truth or understanding, and they passed it on to you. But then you got a revelation that that wasn't so for you, but you accepted it early as a part of your identity construct, as a part of your identity, as a part of your psychological construct. Now it is infused in you and has become a part of you. And now watch this, it is defining itself as a part of you. So when it's time for you to reach for this thought that's outside of the proverbial box or outside of the limiting parameter or the limiting perimeter of thoughts in your life, you struggle with it. I'm almost done. I didn't know I was going to go this way today. Hallelujah. Glory. Am I making any sense to anybody? Am I making any sense to anybody? He says, think. Lagizamahi, think, estimate, conclude, reason, reckon, count, compute, calculate. We are to reckon, we are to calculate, we are to estimate on these things. These are good thoughts. These are good things that if you incorporate in your thinking cycle consistently, that thinking cycle consistently, it will eventually change you inwardly, which means that the outward has to change. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. I know people who've been through harsh situations, harsh conditions. Some of them incarcerated, some of them health situations, some of them drug addictions. I could go on and on and on. And they believe in their heart of hearts, watch this, that they have the favor of God on their lives. Hear me, family. There's somebody else mocking and scoffing them and saying, well, you know, they didn't done this and they didn't committed all these sins and this and God's not with them and blah, blah, blah. But then they are bewildered because they keep saying so-and-so keep coming out and getting a great job. So-and-so keep having good things happen to them. You know, why is this, you know, well, maybe it's just the mercy. That's how we chalk it up. It's the mercy and the grace of God. It's more than the mercy and the grace of God. That's the underlying impact, the underlying foundation. But what's more importantly is that that person who's having all those struggles believes that no matter what they've said and done, that God has not abandoned them in their favor and their life keep producing fruit like that. To say that. So they have decided I'm not going to allow incidents to define me. I'm going to define incidents. And they've decided how they're going to interpret their reality. They've decided how they're going to interpret all these things that have happened to them. They decided that when it comes into their mind, whatever it is that they did, when it comes back to them again, they're going to process that as a way that I'm still favored. God still loves me. Opportunities are going to still open themselves up for me. Am I making any sense? Whereas the person who's always condemning themselves and feels damned and feels isolated and left alone sometimes live off crumbs, live in the thicket of the struggle. Why is that? Is it possible that they're not thinking on the right thing? Wow. And let me say this to you, family, because I did cover all of them but the last two, and I'm going to briefly go over the definitions of all of them. But let me say this to you, family. And I say this to you, I have a wonderful group of men and women who follow me on and off, and especially women. Stop thinking and speaking that you're going to be alone, and start thinking and speaking that there's nobody for you. I'm going to say it again. Stop thinking and speaking that maybe it's just meant for you to be alone. I guess I'm just going to be alone the rest of my life because I just can't trust nobody. Ain't nobody out there that's trustworthy, blah, blah, blah. You know, this, that, and the other. I guess there's just nobody out there for me. Listen, if you're thinking that and imagining that and speaking that, you're going to create that. And even when somebody does pop up in your world that's a legitimate candidate, you won't be able to keep them because you've already convinced yourself they don't exist. And they'll pop up and you'll treat them like they don't exist. You'll treat them like they're not real. You'll treat them like they're too good to be true. You'll treat them, like, again, like they're the last 10 jokers you were with, or the last 5 jokers you were with. That's not God. That's not the enemy. That's you. Come on, type it in the comment section real quick. Good thoughts, good thoughts, good thoughts, good thoughts. Type it in the comment section. Good thoughts, good thoughts, good thoughts. Good thoughts. We talked about truth. We talked about truth. Not just truth from scripture, but truth that is born out to be a principle that works for you and works in your life. We talked about being honest. It means venerable, reverend. It means reputable, honorable. We want our conscience to be a conscience that has honesty and integrity that's a part of it. We talked about just, that means righteous. That also means observing divine laws. It's amazing when you look into words, how you can find a definition. Most of the time when people look at the word just, they would just pick out, well, righteous, and then they would define what they think, or elocute what they think righteous means. It also means observing divine laws. There are spiritual laws in this world. You're doing yourself an injustice if you're not operating in these universal divine spiritual principles. And faith is one of them. Wow, wow, wow. We're thinking on pure things, exciting reverence, venerable, sacred, chaste, modest. We're thinking on lovely things. Remember, I spent time talking about lovely and love itself. Lovely, acceptable, pleasing. A temperament of mind that one can love and be agreeable with other people. Yes, there are a lot of people who are moving about in this world who have unlovely thoughts and unlovely images and unlovely behavior. And at the moment, they're unlovely beings. But what does that have to do with you? I'm going to say it again. What does that have to do with you? I've made up in my mind. I used to say this at Raymond. Christian Harris is on here. He used to attend the church there. He probably remembers me saying this. I used to say this when I pastored years ago, a church called Rhema Word International Ministries that I founded. I used to say it all the time. I'm going to love the hell out of people, and you should love the hell out of them. I used to say that. I've been saying that for years. Man, let me say this. Lovely, my being lovely has nothing to do with your behavior and action. Let me pause here for station identification. Let me work on this for a few minutes. Don't allow people don't allow people to manipulate and control your thinking so until you start acting like them. Wow. Wow. I just said something there. I want you to understand that love is it's the most powerful force in existence. If God is love and love is God, what is more powerful than that? Nothing. And we're all designed to give love and receive love. And what really ends up happening is that when we feel like or believe we're not on the receiving end of love, or when we've really literally been in situations where we haven't been properly given love, which meant that we haven't been a consistent recipient of love, if you're not careful, you will start defining yourself by those experiences, and you will develop your own philosophy about how you gonna love. And you start out as this loving person who's giving, and all of a sudden you deal with a couple of relatives, you deal with a couple of friends, you deal with a couple of lovers, a couple of spouses, whatever it is you have, who did not reciprocate, who did not handle you properly. And then what happens is that stuff sets up in your heart, and you decide, I'm not going to be that love no more. And there is nobody who deserves this love anymore. When the bottom line is you're not operating at the highest levels of your divine self as a divine being if you're not love, and if you're not transmitting and emanating love, because again, the Almighty God is love. So I'm going to ask you, how can you say that you are the offspring of the Almighty God, that you have a relationship with God and you don't love. I need you to help make it make sense. What has happened is that you have been influenced by people who didn't know how to love you and didn't love you properly. So you decided, because they abused you, that I'm going to turn around and, in a sense, abuse myself, because that's exactly what you're doing. When you decide that you're not going to be the loving person that you once were, the loving person that you really are, the loving person that your essence and quintessence really is, then you are self-abusing, because now you're holding back the shimmer, you're holding back the glimmer, you're holding back the light, you're holding back that real part of you. Hear me real clearly. Watch this. And I can love you. I can love the hell out of you. I can love you with all my being. It don't mean I have to be romantically linked and connected to you. And that's another thing people need to understand. Just because you're not with that person don't mean you can't love them unconditionally. It just means it didn't work within the realm or the framework of a relationship. Because the truth be told, just like your light can be too bright for people, sometimes your love can be too strong for people. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I just said a word. Somebody ought to quote that. Sometimes your love can be too strong for people. Your light can be too bright for people, but your love can be too strong for people too. Because when people don't know what real love is, don't know what authentic love is, watch this, don't know what love is absent of what is really drama. Some people think drama is love. Some people think fighting and jumping on each other and then having makeup sex is love. That ain't love, people. That's confusion. Oh, we just so attached. We're so addicted to each other. We just have to make up, and he just slaps you across the room, and then he buys you $1,000 worth of presents and says he's sorry, or she cheats, or he cheats, and then they buy you makeup cards, and you had the best makeup sex for 15 days in a row, and you feel so close and so tight. Oh, this is just love. It's just a mad love. It's just insane. No, what's insane is that part of y'all that think it's love. It's not love. That's confusion. That's abuse. That's all this other trash you're trying to heap in with that. Well, I wish I had more likes and hearts. I want you to really grasp that love is not just a spirit. Love is a thought. Love is not just a thought. You can not just embody love, but be love. And when you turn that off, because you've given it to people who didn't know how to accept it, who didn't know how to handle it, then now you are reducing your own self. You are diminishing your own self. You're turning down the volume on you. Now you're not really being you. And that's why you're walking around here feeling strange, feeling under pressure, feeling pressured, feeling suppressed, at some point in time, feeling limited and bound, because you allowed them to influence you to turn yourself down. You turned the volume down yourself. So you were no longer loving or lovely, because you decided I'm not going to be that anymore. And hear me. Just because you decide you can't be that for this person doesn't mean you shouldn't be that for somebody else. But this is how we generalize and become stereotypical or stereotype, in that we tried it with a couple of people and they didn't appreciate it. So now nobody else gets to get it. Well, what you don't understand is that when you don't give it to somebody else, you don't give it to yourself either. Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. Paul said, think on these things. Yes, that's right. The word is undervalued. And this is what I want to say to people who say they love God and believe in God. If Yeshua, the Son of God, decided that he was not going to love based on people not loving him, would we be where we are today? Would we be here as beings today? Hear me, family. So really, we make excuses for not loving, but really there is no excuse for not loving. We just make the excuse. And what is required to happen is levels of inner healing to take place inside of us to say, with honesty and frankness, I stopped loving or giving that kind of love because so and so did this, and this. And then you have to come to a place where you recognize that just because so and so did this, and this, doesn't mean that your value and your worth was diminished at all. Oh my Lord. Did somebody catch that? So if somebody doesn't love you the way you love them, what does that have to do with your value? Okay, I'm about to stop here. But if you think that it messes with your value, if you think it infringes on your value, if you think it changes your value, you hear what I'm saying? So catch this. Catch this. I use a different illustration in counseling. I'm going to use this one for the sake of our program. I met Lovely. I'm going to get to good report, virtue, and praise in just a few minutes, and I'm going to be done. If you pull up on a house and it's worth $750,000, you house shop, and it's worth $750,000. Watch this. The realtor is showing you the house, and they're showing you on behalf of the owner. You're looking it over, and it's got what it's got in there. I don't know, 5 bedrooms, 6.5 bathrooms, 4-car garage, half an acre of land, a fitness room, a movie room. Come on, it needs to have a lot of stuff for $750,000. But it's got all that stuff in it. Okay. And you tour the house, you like the house is nice, and you say to the realtor, okay, I like this house. This house is nice. I'm going to give him $400,000 for this house. And the realtor looks back at you and says, okay, well, it's for sale for $750,000. I might get them to come down a little bit, but I just don't know if they're going to come down. I don't think they'll come down to $400,000. So they go back to the owner, and then you meet them back at the house again. You're standing outside the house and you're talking to the realtor, and the realtor says, well, they said they'll come down to $725,000, but they can't do $400,000. Okay. So you look at the realtor in the eye and say, okay, I don't care what they say. I'm not giving them a penny more than $400,000. You know why? Because it ain't worth no $750,000. It ain't worth it. Well, the realtor knows that, first of all, the house is worth $775,000. The market value of the house is $775,000. The owner knows the market value of the house is $775,000. They said it $25,000 cheap to begin with. They reduced it under $25,000, for you. So watch this. If you walk away from that house and say it ain't worth $400,000, I'm going to ask you the question: is that really true? It might not be worth $400,000 to you, but there is paperwork on file. There's a market value that attests that no, it is worth $775,000. So just because you say it's not worth $750,000, does that actually mean it's not worth that? And this is what I'm saying to you, family. Just because a person doesn't know your worth doesn't mean you aren't worth it. Just because they don't know your value doesn't mean you don't have value. Just because that man and woman walked away with an attitude trying to get you discounted and get you on sale, get the house on sale, doesn't mean the house is not worth what it was appraised for. And many, many times we let people, by the way they treat us, by the way they talk to us, by the way they abuse us, come on now, by the way they lie on us, by the way that they cheat on us, and by the way that they do all these other things, we take their actions to mean I'm worthless. No. You cast your pearls before swine. A swine, a hog, don't know it's a pearl. A hog don't know that that pearl that's in his mouth is worth $500,000. So it will gnaw on it. It will cheep on crack. It will, excuse me, gnaw on it. It will put it in his mouth. It will crap on it. It will lay on it. It will toss it around in the mud. Come on here, because it don't know that the pearl is worth thousands of dollars. And just because the hog don't know, don't mean the pearl's not valuable. And just because people don't know you're valuable doesn't mean you're not. I wish I had more likes and hearts. I feel like running. My God. Hallelujah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is possible for you to encounter people. Watch it. It is possible for you to be born in a family that don't know what you're worth. It is possible for you to be mishandled by family folk because they don't know you're a pearl. They don't know your market value. They don't know your divine appraisal. God sets values that nobody really can change. It's up to us to enforce the value. And like my recent TikTok video said, stop letting people put you on sale. You're not on sale. So you don't want to be lovely because somebody put you on sale and you started acting like you are on sale garment, an on sale item. Hear what I'm saying today. You're not on sale. So stop putting yourself on sale for people. You're putting yourself on sale to coexist with them. You're putting yourself on sale just to be loved by them. You're putting yourself on sale, just for some good sex, some good nookie. You're putting yourself on sale just to have some companionship. You're putting yourself on sale just to have some thighs in your bed. Come on here, somebody. You're putting yourself on sale just so you can feel like you loved and accepted by somebody. Family, you're not on sale. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. Ooh, I feel like running. Hey, somebody typing in the comment section. I'm not on sale. You can't get me at a discount in a relationship. You can't get my love for 50% off. You can't get all this goodness for 25% off. Come on here, somebody. You are not on sale for your mama. You're not on sale for your daddy. You're not on sale for your children. You're not on sale for your uncles and your aunts. You're not on sale for your nieces and your nephews. You're not on sale for your bosses. You're not on sale for lovers. Do not cheapen yourself. Stop settling. Oh, he said he loved God. Everything and everybody that say they love God and spiritual isn't. And that don't mean they know how to treat you like a king or a queen. That don't mean they have your best interests at heart. That don't mean they will tell you the truth when you need to hear the truth. That don't mean they will stick with you through thick and thin. Come on here, somebody. Some of y'all are attracting crooks and charlatans and people who only want you for what you got in terms of your body. They don't care nothing about your mind. They don't care nothing about your heart, but they care about your body and your pocketbook, your body and your checkbook. Come on now, your body and your possessions. You ought to want somebody that wants you for your spirit. You ought to want somebody that wants you for your heart. Come on now. Thighs and booties and breasts and biceps and triceps will diminish over time. But what's in the heart, what's on the inside, that real person is supposed to be renewed day by day. That real person, whoever they are, persists. And that's the first person that anybody should fall in love with. And when you put yourself on sale, you're telling people, I'm putting myself out here at a discount, so therefore you can treat me like a discount garment. And again, like I said in my TikTok video, you should watch it. Y'all know, ladies, if you bought a $5 blouse at the store, you're going to treat it differently than a $200 blouse. If you bought a $5 blouse at the store, you're going to treat it differently than a $500 blouse. Listen to me. If you bought a $500 suit, a pantsuit or whatever it is, if you bought something from Neiman Marcus that costs $1,000, you're going to treat it differently than that suit you got discounted for $5. That suit you got discounted at the Army or at the Salvation store for $25. That $1,000 suit many times get more respect, come on here, than a $20 suit. And I'm telling you, when you put yourself on sale, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. I didn't go and clean off today. Listen, I can't finish this. My God. My. This must be needed today. I'm talking to people. Don't ever be so desperate. Don't ever be so desperate. Don't ever be so desirous. Don't ever be so horny. Come on now. Don't ever be so lonely that you can't be lovely, that you can't love, and that you can't receive the proper love in return. Watch this. Do not discount yourself. Do not reduce your own value. If you are a true, passionate person who loves and forgives, keep being that. Just learn how to step aside from people who don't appreciate that. But even then, you still love them. You don't hate them. My God. My God. My. I feel something here. I feel something here. I'm getting ready to pray. I didn't even really talk about everything I thought I was going to talk about today. I needed to share that with you. I'm talking to people as sure as my name is what it is, life. And it's the people that are part of that life, the life that you've lived, have motivated you to take on a definition of self that you really aren't. It's the truth. They've caused you to take on a definition of identity that you really aren't. And I want to encourage you, as Paul was encouraging us. You become this way because you thought this way. So back to the lovely, if you want to return back to that place, then remind yourself that I am just a person who loves. I am just a person who is lovely. That's the first thing you do. Secondly, you just acknowledge also, and I gave that love to people who couldn't appreciate it. Like the pearl dealing with, like the swine, dealing with the pearl and vice versa, the pearl dealing with the swine. And then last but not least, you decide that I am love and I'm going to love, and it doesn't make a difference what anyone or anybody thinks about it. If you do those three things, and if you persist in being love and walking in love and walking as love, hear me, you will be amazed at how it's going to calm you, reduce your stress levels. Because watch this, when people come into my life and they clown and act up now, I don't get as angry as I used to. I just don't. You know why? Because I'm love. And I just kind of smile on the inside and say, this is what people are capable of doing. Sometimes I'm psychoanalyzing them too. I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes I know why they're acting the way they act, and I just love them anyway. And I just help them in the capacity that I could help them. I love them in the way that they should be loved. And then if there's other stuff I'm trying to help work them out, I help them work it out. I'm just talking about, I'm love. I've decided to be love. I've decided to love people regardless of how they treat me. Because then if I don't, then that's going to change me. I can't let it change me. God doesn't want me to change being love and loving people. Some people don't know unconditional love when they see it. It's sad. For a while, I didn't know what that was, but I know what it is. So I'm saying if this is who you really are, you're lovely. You're thinking on lovely things. You can only think on lovely things, like Paul is saying, Philippians 4, if you are love and if you acknowledge your love and acknowledge your love walk. Just as Yeshua came and gave his life for people who are unlovely, that was a statement saying, you're unlovely, but it's got nothing to do with who I am. You're clowning and acting a fool. I'm not going to clown and act a fool. I'm going to love and do what I'm supposed to do. It's what Jesus the Christ did. Am I making any sense to anybody? Am I making any sense? And I'm going to say this last but not least, if you're on this live, this is good relationship advice here. If you're on this live and you are the kind of person who loves deeply, you love hard and you love deeply, type it in the comment section, me. I want to talk to you for a minute. You love hard and you love deeply. If that's you, just type me. I want to talk to you for a minute. I want to encourage you for a minute. Okay, I got some me's coming up. Thank you. I could put myself in there. So the reason why I want to talk to you is because you probably walk in a dimension of love that the average person doesn't. Just like you heard the conversation that there are levels to this thing. And it's true, there are levels to this thing. And people who walk deeply, in my opinion, when you walk deeply, you're walking as close to God as you can walk in terms of love and being love. So watch this. That means you can't just turn it off like a switch. That means that with that love is going to come its partner, long suffering. And last but not least, that means you're probably going to, if you don't do the inner work that you should to heal yourself, to become healed and whole and balanced, then last but not least, you're going to run into people who are incompatible with your love. And they don't have to match you. They're just incompatible with it. Doing the inner work is important because if you're doing the inner work and you're loving people who not even eligible for you to love, you're loving people who can't give you 100% for whatever reason, you're got situations or they got situations, it's going to complicate things. That's why I say do the inner work where you're free to give that love to the right person, and that person is free to return love to you. Did I just make sense with what I said right there? Talk back to me. Did I just make sense to what I said right there? Now, and I'm gonna use her for an example. I was watching a wonderful training session with Iyanla recently, and Iyanla was talking about what I talked about in a speech in February about trauma being transferred genetically. But she was also talking about certain behaviors and characteristics that started emerging in her that she realized came from her mother, who died when she was 2 years old. I'm not stepping on any toes. I'm just trying to make a point. She said she didn't understand until later that her mom died when she was 2, was an alcoholic. And her mom got pregnant 3 babies by a man who was married to somebody else. So then she went on to live her life. A lot of people don't know Iyanla is a lawyer. She went to law school, graduated, used to practice law before she went into the spiritual metaphysical space and started teaching. And she said that basically the Holy Spirit had to reveal to her years later that through genetics and through other means of transference, she was carrying guilt and shame and activities passed on to her by her mother that she didn't even realize had been passed on to her. She said she was in a relationship herself with a married man for 25 years that she had to get out of. She's talked about holding true to integrity. Why am I saying this? Sometimes you're giving love to people who the love you're giving is so powerful, but if they're in situations where they can't absorb the love because they ain't even eligible to be loved like that. I hope I just made sense. Then you're going to walk away hurt. You're going to walk away wounded. So understand, you're going to most likely run into people where the love is incompatible anyway. You're already taking that risk, although you can manifest the person who loves you mutually. You can do that too. That's a whole conversation for another time. But a lot of times y'all loving these dysfunctional people. You're loving these people who messed up internally. You're loving these people who are so hurt and wounded, they can't love you back the way you love them. You know how to be stable and consistent. They don't know how to be stable and consistent. You know how to stay there and work it out. They run every time. You know how to be faithful to them. They only know how to go where their urges and desires take them. And sometimes that's the way they're trying to make themselves feel better, is through alcohol, drugs, women or men. But this is what you decided to love. You loved someone and somebody who was so dysfunctional until they could not hold your love. They could not see your love. They could not appreciate your love. And it's not that you were perfect, because you had your own set of problems. Watch this. But you were functional enough that your love at least made you say, I'm not going to cheat. Your love at least made you say, I'm going to hang in here with them. Your love at least made you say, okay, I got problems. They got problems. Let me work through them. But sometimes on this, they're so far down on the dysfunctional spectrum that they're not going to be able to recover enough to appreciate who and what you are and give it back to them the way you gave it to them. Again, because internally, they're living in chaos. So I say to you, you got to be careful. And you got to know that everybody can't handle the love you have, and everybody is not worthy of the love that you're going to give. And you've got to learn how to guard and protect that. And when I say guard and protect that, I don't mean shut it off. I mean, when you start feeling that, see, everybody like a thermometer on here. Everybody can start feeling when you're like how you're describing yourself to be, because that's, I'm like you. When you're like us, you can feel when that thermometer is going up. Now, there was a time I would let that thermometer go up and it would just go out of control and I wouldn't stop it. But now the Spirit has taught me through healing and wholeness and other means, know when it's rising to the point where you need to stop it, because if it rises to the point where you let it go beyond that, then you're going to get drawn into mess and confusion and a world of hurt, a world of shame, a world of indignity, a world of sorrow, a world of pain. And you'll be still remaining entangled, because the way you love is you don't know how to disconnect. The way you love is you can't disconnect. Some of y'all still dreaming about baby daddies. Y'all quiet. Some of y'all still dreaming about people you were connected with for years and years and years, and they done gone on and have 15 other partners since you. They probably with somebody right now as we speak, and you still having dreams about it. Some of y'all still. That's because that love is deep, and you don't know how to turn it off. Wow. I honestly believe there's a love that's beyond this world, and I do believe what the elder Christian is saying. There are some soul ties there, I do. But I also believe that there is an intertwining of spirits. I believe that there's a love that's just not even rooted in this physical. And some people have the ability to give it to people. And this is what I've said to some folks. I've said it to myself. I'm going to say it to you because this is going to help some folks. Let me say this to you. Let me say this to you. This is going to liberate some people. Can I say this to you? Can I say this to you? Now, first of all, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. You will occasionally in your lifetime run into people who are genuinely, you genuinely have, they're genuinely soulmates, excuse me. The metaphysical world calls it twin flames. The church world don't believe in that kind of stuff, but I'm just telling you, this information is out here. And what I'm trying to tell you is that sometimes you will love somebody and the intensity, you'll love somebody so deeply, you'll love somebody so otherworldly, you'll love somebody out of your side of your body. And there are a few people you can connect with in this existence like that, where that love never leaves. It just, the intensity of it, how can I put this, is reduced. The intensity, the volume level like goes down. The feeling level goes down. But there's always going to be a special place there for them. Now, let me explain this, because this is what confuses some of y'all, and this is what angers some of y'all, and this is what makes some of y'all think you need to go back to that person because you can't stop loving them. No. You can love more than one person in this lifetime like that, but you got to learn how to manage that and control that. Because again, sometimes that person has not shown up in your world as the version of you that's necessary to complement what you give. And when they don't, they're not good candidates for you. They're not good candidates. And when they're not good candidates for you, then there's a lot of hurt and pain and betrayal and rejection waiting for you. If you go back to that, you're going to relive that. Because if you go back to the same person you left, that means they haven't changed. That means that's the same version of them. So what you have to do is put that away in the file cabinet of your heart. And then you have to start opening yourself up, family, to partner with God, to bring into your life somebody who loves you as passionately as you love them, but with other qualities. You got to make a checklist. You got to make a list. So what you do is you learn, we say over time, but you learn as you're moving forward, moment to moment in this existence, you learn to just file it away in the file cabinet. And yes, initially it hurts. Can y'all still hear me and see me? Sometimes can you still? Okay, yes, you can. Initially, it's like being close to the ground, gravity. Although Terrence Howard says that gravity is the effect of electricity. That's a whole nother discussion. But you notice there are certain laws of physics, I can't recall off the top of my head, that a plane uses to fly, that engineers, when they design a plane, it's the law of lift. That's what it is. Once the plane gets above a certain point off the ground, the reason why it's able to stay up there and it doesn't come down exactly or immediately is because it is engaged in another law of lift that allows it to stay where it is. So what I'm trying to say is that if you're fresh out of a long-term relationship or whatever, and you had that kind of love with that person, yeah, initially it's going to be like your feet are close to the ground. It's going to be like you just 5 or 10 feet off the ground. You jump 10 feet off the ground, you're going to come down quickly. But as you start elevating and elevating or creating distance and distance and distance, then that effect it lessens on you. The effect is still there. It's not just as great. And then watch this, your heart starts clearing up. And this is why inner work is important because you got to engage yourself. Why? The whys, who, what, why, when, and where. Why am I thinking like this? How do I get into the situation? What is the situation as is that I see before me now? Why am I having these feelings? Why am I having these emotions? Why am I having these thoughts despite the fact that this person has done me dirty over and over and over? And then you just have to come to the conclusion that you just love this person, period. This is another thing people sometimes want to own, sometimes they don't want to own. I know I'm over time, but can I finish giving you this love advice and then I'm going to be done? Sometimes they just don't want to own that you might not love anybody. You have not loved anybody like that up until this point. That's number one. And I don't want you to give up because that kind of love is not going to be duplicated, but it can come in another form that's just as satisfying and pleasing and giving and loving. Are you hearing me? But listen, it's important that you file that away and close that door, family, because if you're a woman and you are desiring this kind of love, watch this. Hear me real clearly. I'm talking now from spiritual principles. At some point in time, if you're a woman, a man is going to pop up with that. Now, and if you're a man, a woman is going to pop up in alignment with your desires. But the question will be, have you done the work to file that old situation away and close the door on it? Acknowledge that it's there. Acknowledge that it's not what it used to be. Acknowledge that it's not something I will ever partake of again, but it's just there. You got to close the door and acknowledge that, because what will happen is if you don't file it away completely, if you don't seal that file, if you don't close that door and lock it, then when the next person pops up who has better qualities than the person that you had that crazy love for, with a love that's compatible enough that satisfies you, you'll still be thinking about that person that's supposed to be locked away and filed away in the file cabinet. Secondly, don't let that person that you said that you closed the door on, locked away in their file cabinet, start texting and calling you again. It will interfere with the new man or the new woman who offers you better hope and better promise of a better life and more things that are in alignment with you. I wish I had more likes and hearts. So when you love that heart, family, some of y'all saying, Lord, take it. I just don't understand. I just want to kill. No, some stuff is not meant to be taken. Thank God that the love that Almighty has for us can't be taken regardless of how people act. No, you have to learn how to live with that. And there are people who have testimonies, oh, I don't feel that way no more. I don't feel nothing. But that wasn't that deep kind of love that people like you have, that people like I have. It wasn't that kind of love. It was a strong love, but it wasn't an out of this world love. People don't understand that level and that dimension, because folk will be saying, well, why you still love? Why you still got feelings? They don't understand how deep it is for you. It is otherworldly, family. It is not rooted in the flesh. It is more like agape. There are 4 or 5 different types of love mentioned in the Greek language, or 3 or 4 different types of love mentioned in the Greek language. Agape is from classical Greek. We use it in biblical text to refer to God's love, but in classical Greek, it's not referring to God's love. It's just a strong, unconditional type love. People who love deeply love unconditionally. Come on now. Some of y'all right now love the ground he walk on. You love everything. They done been ugly to you. They done this. They done that. Some of y'all love people of the same sex. I might as well say it. I mean, you love that man. You a man and love that other man. The ground they walk on. You a woman. You love that other woman. The ground they walk on. But you just understand, I can't have that. That doesn't work for me. You got to file it away. You got to close the door on it. And then you've got to sit long enough so that you can heal inwardly, so that you can be available for the next person. And what I found out is that there are too many of y'all relationship jumping. Type it in the comment section, relationship jumping. Lord God, I done went on to the next something else. Should I keep talking? Can I talk for a few more minutes? Type it in the comment section, 2 words, relationship jumping. Type that in the comment section, relationship jumping. Type that. Listen, do y'all, okay, I'm going to make this one last point. I'm going to make this one last point. But I'm going to ask you a question before I make the point, okay? I'm going to ask you a question before I make the point. If I do a special class on relationships, love and relationships, will you attend? I'm going to make my last point, but I got to ask you the question because that's really kind of where this is flowing. I don't want to do nothing and you're not going to show up for it. But if I do a class on relationships, who's going to attend it? Just type yes or no if you're coming. Let me see. I got some yes. I got absolutely, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to hold y'all to it. I got enough yeses in here that I'm going to hold you to it. So my brother and friend for many years mentioned soul ties. But I want some of y'all to understand, excuse me, I got a little cold here. Now, understand that I'm not just a spiritual leader and wasn't just a pastor for 25 years. I was a counselor, been a counselor for decades. And last but not least, I got my own set of experiences. All right. And I remember when I was going through something a couple of years ago, and Pastor Cotton, who's on YouTube, those of you on Facebook can't see him, gave me some advice about a situation, a relationship situation. That was good advice. And what I've learned is that similar to the analogy that I just gave you, when you have been in a relationship, I don't care how bad the relationship is. I don't care if you ain't lived with that person for 4 or 5 years. I done ran into women like that. We ain't been together for 3, 4, 5 years. I'm talking about years ago. Not now. I'm talking about years ago. I've run into people like that. And what folks like that don't understand, including myself, who was married 27 years, it doesn't make a difference what your relationship was like. You need some time to yourself if you've been in a relationship. You don't need to be relationship jumping. The reason why some folks may have been in a solid, steady relationship, say they were in one for 10 years, 15 years, and their relationship was over, and they decided, okay, well, it's been over for years. We ain't really together. And they start having relationships with other people sometime before the marriage is over, or right after the marriage is over, they jump. The reason why that relationship most likely is not going to last, and they're going to have several more, is because you jumped too soon. You jumped too soon because you sustained your own set of wounds, your own set of scars. And then last but not least, within you addressing your own pain or your own challenges, there has to be a psychological shift. There has to be a mental shift in you, if nothing else, from the person you were with to the person you used to be with to the person you're with now. There's an adjustment phase that needs to take place. So it's not just about inner healing, it's also about an adjustment phase. And then last but not least, I have discovered that some people just don't know how to be alone. They say men have this problem pretty bad. They don't know how to be alone. But I'm going to tell you, I've run into some women who don't know how to be alone either. So if you engage in relationship jumping and you have not healed, what you do is you jump to the relationship bleeding. And then you sometimes it could be a good person you jumped into the relationship with. Watch this. But they're not a psychologist. So they don't know what to do to help you with your mental wounds and mental scars. They're a mechanic, not a psychologist. So they start trying to work on you like a mechanic, and then that relationship don't work. And then you jump to the next relationship and you still bleeding in the next relationship. Sometimes you're bleeding more because you needed somebody who understood you psychologically, but you got somebody who was just a mechanic. So they bludgeon you. You end up in the next relationship with more scars and wounds. And then that works a little bit. And then you just decide, I'm just going to have booty calls and have sex and just get my rocks off or whatever and just feel good for a minute. And then you just start deciding, well, maybe there's nobody out there, blah, 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 so forth and so on. See, when your relationship jump, which means that everything that's in you goes to the next relationship. So if there's unresolved hurt, unresolved pain, even if it's from a prior relationship, it goes with you to the next relationship. All your insecurities, all your traumas, all your dysfunctions, they just move from relationship to relationship to relationship. And, sometimes with people, like I said, they just want to be loved. They just want their companionship. And sometimes folks just don't want to be alone. And that's why they jump it with hope that it will be better than last time. So when you start engaging and practicing relationship jumping, you're going to accumulate and accrue more scars, more hurt, more damages. And that's why some of y'all not just relationship jumping with the opposite sex. Some of y'all trying new stuff with the same sex because you're like, I can't find love in the opposite sex. Let me try to do the same sex. I mean, it's true. Sometimes people have had bad histories of people with the opposite sex that just have wounded them to the core of their being. And so they're just looking for love. They don't care where it comes from. They're looking for acceptance. They don't care where it comes from. I'm just talking in general, family. So now you're engaged in relationship jumping. And you're wondering why these relationships don't work. And what you're going to realize is that everything that's unfinished in you jumps with you to the next relationship unfinished. And then you end up trying to finish it in the next relationship. And that's one reason it don't work, because watch this. You bring unfinished stuff in the relationship. And then sometimes you get with another person who was with somebody when they met you, they got unfinished stuff. It's two people with unfinished stuff. And I've seen a few relationships where those have lasted, but what happened is the first 7, 8, 9 years, they had to waddle through in pain and agony and cheating and rejection and betrayal, all their crap, all their unfinished stuff. It took them like 7, 8 years to get through it. And that's why some of these people be cracking me up talking about, I've been married for 30 years and so on. So I've been married for 35 years. They don't know. I know you cheated 20 of those years. You cheated 15 of them. You were horrible. And you out here bragging like you did it. No, I give you credit for sticking with it. But you were far from the best version of yourself for over half of the relationship. And it's for reasons that I just said. Yeah, I see it all the time, and I be knowing some of these folks' business. I knows, and some of these people, these be famous people in the church. People, I know some of their business too, because some of them I know, and some of them I know people who know them directly. So I'm saying to you, sometimes you just need to take some time with you. I'm gonna end it there. Just because you couldn't find it in the first 5 or 6 doesn't mean it's not there, but it might mean that it's just time for you to do you for a while. Come on now. Can I say one more thing to y'all? Can I say one more thing to y'all? I know it's Sunday, but can I say one more thing to y'all? Can I say one more thing? Y'all know I likes to keep it real, so I'm going to say one more thing. Y'all know I like to be transparent. I'm going to be me. Somebody might play this in replay and say, Reverend, did Reverend just say that? Yeah, Reverend just said that. Reverend just said that. There's probably nobody on this live right now. That's as freaky as me. I'm just going to be honest. I'm a green. What can I say? And I'm saying that to say, but you know what? Being with somebody just to be freaked or have sex, or being with somebody just for sex or companionship ain't worth it to me if there is no peace. If there is nothing but drama, what does that really mean in the long run? You can want to be with somebody and love somebody so deeply and crave them so deeply until they can piss you off so, until you don't want to even be in the same room with them, let alone the same house. And then sometimes you don't want them to touch you at all because you're so angry with them. Did I just speak truth or not? Thank you. Somebody appreciates transparency here. What I'm trying to tell you is don't let that primal base desire motivate you to relationship jump. I know some of y'all need some, want some more than other people. I know I'm talking to folk out here, you're reserved on the outside, but you some of the biggest freaks God created. It's all right. But you can't use it as a motivation to just relationship jump. Because after you get your freakiness, they scratch that itch. If they cussing you out every day, if you last on the priority list, they got other women. Come on now. If they stingy, if they don't know how to, treat you, what is that really worth? What is it really worth in the long run? All right, I got to go. I've been so long on here so long. They didn't came in from church. Did I speak the truth or did I speak the truth? Thank you so much. Use the giving opportunities at the bottom of the screen. Almighty bless those who are here. Let the word find a dynamic, resting, fertile place. And your will is done in them. In Yeshua's name, by his power, his consciousness, it is so. And so it is. That's right. Your life needs to be placed in order, but it won't be just God that's fixing it. It's you. It's a partnership with God to fix anything. It is a partnership with God. Listen, if the word has blessed you, if what I've said has been a blessing to you, use the giving opportunities at the bottom of the screen. Use your Cash App, $AG Green or $AG Green Ministries. My Zelle information is on there. I love you all so deeply. I also appreciate those who give. Chime is there as well. Always. Don't forget to join us on Patreon. Things that I'm talking about now, we will talk about later. But I think you got the message. We're talking about where we want to align our thoughts and where we want to focus our thoughts and what our thoughts should be on. All right? Love you all so dearly. I'm going to release you with a shalom blessing. Shalom, shalom, peace, wholeness, and prosperity. Nothing missing, nothing broken. It is so, and so it is. Enjoy your evening, and I'll see you all in a couple of days. Love you.